A good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the UBC Lunchtime News this 29th day of March 2025. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark, and I'll be taking you on for the next 30 minutes of this bulletin, so do sit tight as we relay the news to you. In our top story today, the president of the Uganda National Students Association, Wilson Mugashu, has called for a review of the school fees structure to ensure that fairness and proportionality across different educational institutions is implemented. He made these remarks during the Student Leaders Conference held at Wakiso Resource Center in Wakiso District under the theme, Your Leadership, Uganda's Future.
The Uganda National Students Conference attracted over 500 university students leaders from across the country. Speaking at the conference, the president of the Uganda National Students Association, Wilson Mugazu, urged school proprietors to revise school fees to promote affordability and fairness in education.
We have UNSA organized from the National Secretariat. We have UNSA organized at regional level. We have UNSA organized at district. Whereas at districts, schools come together and vote for their own leaders. They have the district executive committees. But we find it prudent as we leaders from the national executive to come back, rub shoulders with our fellow students, share knowledge and advice, get experiences, because we also learn from them.
Judith Murungi, program manager at ILEAD Uganda, emphasized the importance of self-awareness and identity in leadership.
Today we are at Wakiso Resource Center envisioning student leaders from Wakiso or Wakiso schools, secondary schools. And I've been privileged to share with them that leaders that make the right choices. Leaders are the ones that their actions actually influence leadership, but also that as leaders, they actually influence people that follow them. And that's why today we are actually having a conference.
Karo Nanyonga Mugisha reminded student leaders of their crucial role in shaping Uganda's political landscape.
I have to teach them on how to lead. I have to tell them that leadership is not just about taking away, but also serving and giving to the community. Also, our leaders need to be exemplary. They cannot teach what they cannot preach. There should also be accountability. If you lead wrong, are there consequences? We've seen our MPs embezzle. We have seen our leaders steal a lot of money that should be addressing the needs of the communities. Are there consequences?
Student leaders expressed their gratitude to UNSA for equipping them with essential leadership skills.
The Uganda National Students Association body organizes these workshops to motivate leaders, to motivate young leaders, to be better patriotic leaders, to be good leaders in the country.
And one of the things I have learned is to make a positive impact to our fellow students as leaders, our school and our world. So they told us that with the leaders and the students, we should change the world. How shall we, as the leaders, how shall we change the world when we are not leading well to our students in schools?
And in this conference, we have learned a lot of things. For example, I've learned to choose the choices that I make, and the choices that I make, whether they have the positive impacts on the students that I lead. And I've also learned to do the actions that I do, whether they have an influence on the students that I lead.
And in more news, Uganda's transport energy demand is projected to increase by 50% by 2030, prompting the government and private sector to push for the widespread adoption of electric vehicles as part of the country's energy transition strategy. However, progress has been slow due to limited infrastructure, as Saddam Bali reports. We do apologize. We'll be bringing that story later on. The Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development has called on the management of Kyambogo University to establish a childcare center to support breastfeeding students and lecturers. During the commemoration of International Women's Day at the university, Mayanja Idi Mubarak, the Principal Women in Development Officer at the ministry, urged the university to encourage women and encourage them to engage in government development programs. More details in this report.
I had to march under this rain because it was a struggle for me to move in from this first semester up to the last semester. So you don't expect me to run from the rain because I'm fearing rain. No, I'm a graduate and I have to move under the rain.
We have been graduated. Now the thing is like getting a job is something we need in life, but it's not something easy to get a job.
As we embark on this journey, remember that you are part of a large community of healthcare professionals who are dedicated in serving others. You will encounter challenges, but I assure you that you are not alone. Lean on your colleagues. Seek support from mentors.
One of the things I admire you nurses for, you are like us priests. You recognize that you are called by God. Being called by God is a very special calling. It's not a desire for having a living or making money for yourself, but for service, at the service of God. The person you are is promoted by your level of discipline.
Here you are graduating with certificates and diploma, but with nursing, it has an upward growth. We have many nurses graduating, and I know the question you are asking yourself now is, what next? But we are encouraging you to improve yourself by adding on to what you have. The employers, I urge you to create conducive working environments that promote growth and learning. Support these young professionals in enhancing their competences by providing mentorship, training opportunities, career development.
We do beg your pardon. That was a story where employers have been urged to support the professional growth and healthcare of workers by providing mentorship, training and career development opportunities. Of course, this call was made during the third graduation ceremony of Florence Nightingale School of Comprehensive Nursing, where 926 students were awarded certificates and diplomas in nursing and midwifery. Now, like earlier mentioned, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has called on the management of Kyambogo University to establish a childcare centre to support breastfeeding students and lecturers during the commemoration of the International Women's Day at the university. Let's take a look.
The Directorate of Gender Mainstreaming at Kyambogo University aims to promote gender-responsive learning by influencing research in gender studies and equity.
To carry out research and offer academic guidance on possible action points going forward to influence both private and public sectors in advocating for behavioral and policy change to foster gender equality and women's empowerment.
Today we have been celebrating the International Women's Day, celebrating women in Kyambogo, female staff and students for the strides made, and encouraging those who are not yet there to work towards achieving their dream.
The university encourages women to take full advantage of available opportunities and to further showcase their potential.
So we focus on women economic empowerment, elimination of gender-based violence, gender mainstreaming in sectors.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has urged Kyambogo University to create a more supportive working environment for women. Part of this, the ministry has proposed the establishment of a childcare centre to support breastfeeding students and staff.
Key, very important, and mothers, especially students who are also coming with children. Producing is not a crime if it has happened.
The International Women's Day 2025 has been commemorated under the theme For All Women and Girls, Rights, Equality and Empowerment.
Use every opportunity that is in your hands. If you get a chance to access resources, for instance, the grants they have been talking about, make good use of them. If you get an opportunity for a scholarship, make sure that you make good use of it, because if you get the education, it widens your scope of opportunity.
March is recognized as Women's Month, a time to amplify gender equality and enhance women's well-being. Marion Awori, Abdul Nasir Lubwama for UBC.
The third Deputy Supreme Mufti in charge of Northern Uganda, Sheikh Abdullani Juma Vuni, has called upon Muslim communities in Northern Uganda to take education of their children as a serious matter. Sheikh Vuni made this appeal while giving his Eid al-Fitr message today at Arua City, which was read by Sheikh Rashid Kemis, the district Qadi of Arua City.
I encourage you to observe the following as we pray that Allah accepts our fasting and rewards us with the Jannatul Firdaus, for it has been a restraining and reframing season in all aspects of life, like not eating, avoiding immoral activities for the sake of Allah. Therefore, may the good works and deeds not only stop in the month of Ramadan. Instead, we should adapt it as our way of life, as in the teaching of the Quran and the ways of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I always remind the Muslim Ummah about education. People without education is a failed group of people. As the saying goes, let you, the Muslims of this city, embrace education in both curriculum, i.e. Akhirah and Dunya. That is to say, the last day and the physical Dunya, the secular and Islamic. We shall be the only remedy to open the eyes of our children now and in future. Again, I encourage the Muslim to be productive positively, that is to say, halal economic ventures so as to feed the family. Every household should undertake income-generating initiative to make the family meet necessary requirements in life, like education, health, and good living. Lastly, the Muslims should support the ruling government as is said in Quran, and government should also support us as Office of the Supreme Mufti. Therefore, participate in government programs such as PDM and so on, bearing in mind that as Office of Supreme Administration has all services for you.
Muslims have been urged to extend acts of charity beyond Ramadan to continue receiving blessings from Allah. Ali Raza, proprietor of GSM 5G, made this call while distributing food items to roadside vendors in Ntinda to support them during the Eid celebrations. The donations included rice, sugar, maize flour and soap, benefiting fasting individuals in need. Raza emphasized that even small acts of kindness can yield great blessings.
Actually, how they realize all day, and then when you take food and break the fast, then how excited you are. So when you help somebody, it is the same way now. When you help poor people, Ramadan actually incites us to do such kind of things so that you feel how poor people survive and we should help them.
Hello, mommy.
Child trafficking remains a critical issue in Uganda, particularly in Napak and Kampala districts. Research conducted by Panamit Africa Uganda reveals that 14% of children in Napak are trafficked every 4 months to areas like Kampala for exploitation. Our reporters have an in-depth report.
Although Uganda has legislation against trafficking in persons such as the Anti-Trafficking Act of 2009, child trafficking persists, especially among children from the Karamoja region.
Found out that every 2 months, 14% children are trafficked, which is really a shocking finding, because it will mean that in a year, if you compute, almost over 20,000 children are trafficked, which is very alarming. And then also we found out that 71% of parents in Napak, they don't want child trafficking to stop. They look at it as an alternative livelihood.
We have also found a challenge with the witnesses. Sometimes these are cases that lack witnesses, and at the end of the day, there is no sufficient evidence to produce to court for a conviction. And these people are released out, they are given bails, and they repeat the same fights. So I call upon the community, the local councils, because you are in those places and you know you have the information.
Research conducted by Panamit Africa in collaboration with the Women and Equal Opportunities Commission desk of Moroto Diocese indicates that one of the major drivers of child trafficking in Napaka district is poverty and famine. Parents and guardians often view trafficking as a means of survival.
These parents, they are convinced by the traffickers in Kampala, and then they give out their children, hoping their children are going to get better life, better education in Kampala. But on top of that, to keep them actually not asking about their children, these traffickers every month send them some stipend, send them some little money, and they feel like they are satisfied. So the parents who used to be providers of children, now children have become their providers.
Findings show that 45.6% of trafficked children are forced by parents, 36% are lured by promises of a better life in Kampala, and 4% are kidnapped by the traffickers.
Poverty is one issue. Mindset of people now, it's another reality that needs to be addressed. Child trafficking normalized in order to get some survival. And then we need to have a prosecution, we need to address the plight of the children, the rescuing children, rehabilitating, reintegrating children. And this cannot be done by only the church, by only the government. It is a combination of intervention that needs.
We place them into the safer environment, schools. Of course, some families disown them, rejected them. That is the uniqueness of this problem. Whenever a child is rejected by the parent, what does the organization, what does the government have to do? It is something very, very, delicate to handle. But as the church, as the women desk, Moroto Diocese, we manage to place those children in a safer environment. And probably that has maybe made our approach quite unique, because they have never returned back on the streets of Kampala to beg.
The research is part of the Protect Children, Stop Child Trafficking in Karamoja project, which aims to eliminate forced labor and modern slavery. Stakeholders are calling on government to implement programs addressing child trafficking, particularly in Napak district. They want strengthened economic empowerment initiatives, improved prevention measures, and enhanced rescue and rehabilitation services. Adia Nakote, UBC.
And furthermore, Uganda's transport energy demand is projected to increase by 50% by 2030. And yet still government and private sector are pushing for the widespread adoption of electric vehicles as part of the country's energy transition strategy. However, progress has been slow due to limited infrastructure, as Saddam Mubale reports.
Electric mobility is gaining global momentum, and Uganda is working to catch up, driven by the need to reduce carbon emissions and dependence on fossil fuels. Efforts include developing charging infrastructure, offering financial incentives, and creating supportive regulatory frameworks. However, Uganda's readiness for widespread electric mobility remains a significant challenge. Energy Minister Ruth Nankabirwa explains that Uganda's energy transition plan anticipates a 50% increase in transport energy demand by 2030, underscoring the need for sustainable mobility solutions.
Energy transition plan for Uganda projects transport energy demand to grow by 50% by 2030. There are challenges in the initial phase of infrastructure development for electric vehicles, and the absence of electric vehicles on the market creates a delay in investment for electric vehicle charging stations.
While the transport sector is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, Uganda's shift to electric mobility aligns with the global efforts to cut emissions and promote clean energy.
Transport sector is one of the main contributors of the greenhouse gases, and thus the government of Uganda has done a commendable job, the Ministry of Energy, but also the Ministry of Water and Environment, to ensure the role and contribution of EVs to tackle this particular problem. The German government, through its development corporation, that is GIZ and many others, is proud to be partner of the Ministry of Energy in driving Uganda's ambition to mitigate climate risks.
For many Ugandans, especially boda riders, the high upfront cost of electric bikes remains a challenge. Companies like Watu offer asset financing, making e-bikes more accessible with manageable monthly payments.
Our role has been pivotal in the sense that we have been offering asset financing options, which allows for the boda rider on the street to be able to afford an electric mobility product that he can be able to afford and pay slowly. So it is critical that the asset financing model, Watu, together with other players in the market, have really revolutionized the whole adoption of this new format of mobility.
Uganda's national e-mobility strategy aims to transition public transport to electric vehicles by 2030 and ensure all new passenger vehicle sales are electric by 2040. This shift is essential for reducing reliance on fossil fuels, lowering transportation costs, and improving the environment for future generations.
Our aspirations are well aligned with the National Development Plan 4, as well as our NDC commitments towards the Paris Agreement on sustainable mobility, address our unique needs within the African context.
Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Kama nemo pocket, tambula body street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission. Internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Amazina ganje ninyetekwa Seruhanga John Bosco ninduga mu district ya Rukungiri ndio muhanguzi wa miliyoni 18 na Uganda National Rotary nzahangwire urwo mukuzana star 278 hash ngafuna message eriko mu muhanguzi nashemererwa konka nabaza kugira ngo neri y'abafere sente ziriyo zone bakaziteka ko nazihangwira.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Katindi mu market kama nemo pocket tambula body street issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable.
condition, but on a global mission. Internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, niga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good with MTN. We are what? Unstoppable.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Lunchtime News, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. We now take you into more news. The Ministry of Health has provided 250 beds and 250 mattresses to health centers in Kisoro district to improve patient care and overall well-being. The handover ceremony was officiated by Kisoro district woman member of parliament, Akifeza Grace, who presented the materials to the district officials, including RDC Haji Badru Seviala, NRM chairperson Philemon Mateke, Assistant Kao Rukundo Mananse, and the district health officer, Dr. Nsabiyumva Stephen. That's what we had, and then let's take a look at the details.
150 mattresses. This is very big achievement in 3 months. We pray for Mafumbera to keep also supporting her because she has also demonstrated that she is really love and she has a roping skill and she can support everyone.
Kisoro District Woman Member of Parliament Akifeza Grace has delivered 250 beds and 250 mattresses to various health centers in Kisoro District to enhance health care services.
That is Chahafi Health Center 4. The manifesto is being fulfilled. I don't know whether
Akifeza expressed gratitude to the Minister of Health for prioritizing Kisoro and assured that each health center 4 would receive 20 beds.
Kisoro General Hospital ibitanda 20, Mutore Hospital ibitanda 20, Muramba Health Center 3 ibitanda 10, Nyarubuye ibitanda 10, Nyarusiza 10.
She reaffirmed her commitment to supporting health centers still in need and commended medical staff for their dedication while emphasizing the importance of sanitation.
Health Center 4, Ruhuguri Health Center 4 is here.
Kisoro District NRM chairperson Philemon Mateke reiterated the government's commitment to equitable service delivery and applauded Akifeza's efforts.
Gateriteri, Remera, Teko, Gasovu, Buhozi, Rubuguri.
Bufumbira South MP Dr. Niyonsaba Seruganda Alex praised Akifeza's proactive approach.
The National Resistance Movement, NRM, has fulfilled its pledge of 43 million Ugandan shillings towards the construction of a modern kitchen at Rupa Seed School Secondary School in Moroto District. During an official visit to the Moroto District, NRM Secretary General Richard Odwong committed to support the project after the school administration highlighted the need for a kitchen. The initial 20 million Uganda shillings helped kickstart construction, and the additional 23 million was delivered by Special Presidential Assistant on Political Affairs, Caroline Angolere. Teachers and local leaders in Moroto have been expressing their gratitude to the NRM for its contribution towards improving the school's infrastructure, and this is what they have to say.
By the Secretary General, I hand over this money to the treasurer of this board of governors of this school. Thank you so much. And fulfill the pending pledge. NRM party under the leadership of the Right Honorable Secretary General Richard Odwong has done a great job in supporting this school to build and construct a decent kitchen. Which should have been communicated in this meeting. I also want to give you assurance that growth is gradual. Let us complete the kitchen. And we also see what next is priority for this. We need to encourage parents to give you more land so that you produce food for the school. We can't continue to beg, to ask, to lobby. Encourage the parents, PTA, Board of Governors, have meetings, ask the school, ask the parents to give you more land, and we produce food.
Take our gratitude to the Secretary General for this contribution. And I want to sound this to all of us. Nobody is small. In whichever capacity you are here, you can speak for Rupa Secondary School.
And that brings us to the end of our lunchtime bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for being a lovely audience. Do join us later on for more news in our subsequent bulletins in Swahili, Luganda and English. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark, and have yourselves a lovely afternoon.